UFC Vegas 99. These are the full card predictions and the betting breakdown. I'm looking forward to talking about each of the matchups on this card. So make sure you guys smash the likes. If you're new, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on and make sure you share the video too. And also note, I'll be live for the entire UFC Vegas 99 fight card Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Don't miss the fight companion. And let's get into the first fight on the card. Rebellis Despaigne versus Austen Lane in a battle of two guys that are incredibly flawed in this damn heavyweight division. In a division that's already flawed in itself. I'm going with Rebellis Despaigne to win. Austen Lane is an ex-football player. Historically, football players that transition to fight sports tend to get knocked out a lot. And Austen Lane is no exception to the rule. All 5 knockout losses, each one of his L's, KOs. His chin is fragile. You have to worry about him striking with anybody who has a little bit of sting on the feet. And then you throw him Rebellis Despaigne, who's actually still a pretty dangerous striker, though he got completely exposed for having shitty grappling. Where's Waldo? Waldo Cortez Acosta last time out took Despaigne down and controlled him. He's a boxer, Waldo. And in that fight, he looked like he was a D1 wrestler because all he was trying to do is take Despaigne down until Despaigne was a little tired. And then there was some, fairly competitive striking exchanges. But early on, Despaigne's stand-up was still terrifying. He's still the same guy that's got all these violent first-round knockout wins. It's just he got a bit exposed against somebody who's more fine-tuned and has a more well-rounded skill set. Definitely, though, Where's Waldo is more well-rounded than an Austen Lane. Whereas Waldo was a big step up for Despaigne in his second UFC fight. This is a step down, but I think it's a step in the right direction because these are the types of fight that Despaigne should have been having anyways. The dude came in with a 5-0 record, and then they throw him freaking Where's Waldo, who's been fighting for a long time in MMA and has a pro boxing career too. Despaigne's going to destroy Austen Lane. If you've never seen Austen Lane fight, well, you're actually missing out because it's enjoyable to watch when he gets chinned, especially last time when he got knocked out. A brutal KO loss against Deniz. Fight before that, another one with Tafa. Lane, he's athletic and he has a bit of power and he looks to throw really hard shots, but he'll blitz inside sometimes with the chin up high and it looks amateuristic. He landed a nice takedown against Deniz early in round 1 and beat him up for the whole first round, but it wasn't a technical wrestling takedown. It was a football tackle. Simply though, Deniz didn't expect it and he got taken down rather quick, right? Despaigne has a height and reach advantage, and I also think his hips are going to be good in this fight because Lane is not technical with his takedowns. He forces the takedowns with athleticism and strength, but Rebellis Despaigne is a pretty athletic and strong guy too, and I think that he's going to be able to fend off the takedown attempts from Austen Lane, who's definitely going to look to wrestle. But on top of Austen Lane looking to wrestle, let's say we live in a world where Austen Lane lands the takedown and controls a bit in the first round. His gas tank is rather shit. He was completely dead in round 2 with Deniz because he used a wrestling and grappling heavy game plan when his style is simply not that. Austen Lane is a knockout striker. Regardless if I think he has high-level striking, I don't believe he does. He is known for knockouts, whether it's him getting chinned or him chinning people. And in this fight, somebody's getting put to bed. And I'm pretty damn sure it's Austen Lane. So knockout win, Rebellis Despaigne. No, he's not the next Francis Ngannou. The initial hype that was on him went crazy. The reality is he's a powerful heavyweight who's 6'7" with long arms, and he's fighting one of the worst heavyweights on the roster, a guy he can chin. And I'm going Despaigne by KO, of course. As far as the odds, Despaigne's minus 450 with Lane at plus 350. I will assume this fight definitely goes under 2.5, but we got under 1.5, minus 325. I would lean yes for the under 1.5, and I have a strong feeling that Austen Lane is going to attempt to pressure wrestle in this fight, similar to how he tried to do it with Deniz, who was a pro kickboxer. but I don't think it's going to work out well because Despaigne is freakishly tall and long and has good athleticism. Deniz is a much smaller heavyweight than Lane. Granted, Deniz is still large. That was Lane's last opponent, but Despaigne is 6'7" with an 84-inch reach. I feel like just the height advantage alone is going to cause for some leverage imbalances for Lane, and I feel like dealing with somebody bigger than him is going to give him even more trouble. So I think Despaigne chins Austen Lane. Should be violent. It should be entertaining, and I hope we get a vicious KO to start this card off because we got 3 straight women's fights up next. Second fight on the card, Elise Ardelean versus Melissa Martinez. I'm going to pick Elise Ardelean. Martinez is stepping in on short notice here, and she hasn't fought in a while. What's it been, 2 years? Over 2 years. It was a loss to Elise Reed. It was a rather competitive fight against Elise Reed 2 years ago. She had some striking moments, but questionable fight IQ with Elise Reed out grappling her at the end. And if you know anything about Elise Reed, she is pretty much a pure striker, okay? She's not known for good grappling. Melissa Martinez has nice karate. She comes from a karate base. She's a Waco champ back in 2021, and she's pretty slick with her stand-up game. She darts in and out of range well. He's stance switching. Like, she's comfortable on the feet. I like the way she moves. I would say she's a relatively clean kickboxer, especially for women's MMA. She's a southpaw. She's got a good straight left hand, nice kicks. Thing is, I think her grappling is super suspect. Watch her fight before her UFC debut, which now is nearly 5 years ago. The girl has fought twice in the course of 5 years, yo. She's just not consistently fighting. I know she's young at 27, but it's a factor. Desiree Yanez was out wrestling her in that fight, and Desiree Yanez turned out to be a complete can and takes L's in Bellator and PFL now. She hasn't won a fight there. So I don't think Melissa Martinez has the crafty grappling. And Elise Ardelean jumps into a UFC debut against Shauna Bannon. And I remember when that happened, I'm like, man, this girl's kind of got a shot. And then I said, no, Bannon probably edges it out. And I picked it right at the end. But Ardelean gave her all she could handle and was out wrestling her. Ardelean has pretty strong grappling pressure, pretty strong clinch work. She's a very athletic and fit girl. Her striking is not bad either. She's been in the cage with Weili Zhang and even had some moments in the stand-up. She's definitely got a lot of heart. She's gritty. She's got a good gas tank. She did 3 hard rounds on short notice against Shauna Bannon and nearly won the fight. She loses a damn close split decision. Now, opposite scenario, Melissa Martinez is the short notice replacement, stepping in, replacing Rayani Amanda, who I guess broke her arm. And Ardelean has the full camp. And I did dig into the Instagram. Ardelean looks in better shape this time. And she was ready to go for 3 hard last time, but she looks more cut. Ardelean's famous on Tik Tok, and she does like OnlyFans modeling. So the OnlyFans fade sometimes in effect, but not when you're outside of the top 30. Okay, because this right here is, you know, bottom end of the damn women's strawweight division. Both these girls not ranked highly right now. But I think Ardelean's got a tough skill set for Martinez to deal with. You look at a 9-6 record and you overlook her. But when you dig into certain matchups, early on in her career, she was taking a lot of these losses. At one point, she had a losing record of 4-5, but it was after a loss to Weili. You can see she also has a loss to Diana Belbita. She's been in there with quality competition. Went on a nice win streak, granted. Yes, opposition, definitely subpar. But if you include these amateur or exhibition fights rather, then what? She got a 7-fight win streak she was on, and then close coin flip decision with Shauna Bannon. I think Melissa Martinez is in trouble against an experienced Elise Ardelean who's physically strong and fit, who's well-rounded. She's not just a grappler. She has tough striking, too. She can mix it up nice on the feet. And I think Martinez is going to look to strike from range a lot, and then the opposite is going to be in effect for Ardelean, who's going to look to pressure. And I think she's going to make Melissa Martinez rather uncomfortable, probably take her down, probably control her a bit on the floor. And I just have too many questions around Martinez's grappling. I know she's young. I know she's improving. Her brother, David Martinez, just won on the Contender Series and is getting a UFC contract now. But I think Elise Ardelean is too much for Melissa. I think Ardelean's a good underdog here. I think she's being slept on. I mean, it's women's MMA, so you play with fire with the women's underdogs more than anything else. This isn't Brandon Royval Lock of the Week like my call last week. Instead, I'm picking Ardelean because I think Melissa Martinez is a suspect grappler. At least the evidence tells me she is. If the holes have been shored up, we'll find out on fight day. I'm not so sure they have been. With her inactivity, who knows? Taking a fight on short notice after 2 years off, don't love it. Over 2.5, rather likely with the women, minus 365. I'll say yes. I'm going with Ardelean. I'm going with the upset. I think she's being overlooked. She's fought some good competition, better competition than Martinez has ever faced before. And on short notice, she looked good against Shauna Bannon. I'm sure she's going to look better against Melissa Martinez here. So Elise, Ardelean to get it done. I'm going to ride with her. And let's keep running. Let's jump to our next fight. Another ladies matchup. I told you we got 3 in a row. This is 2 out of the 3. So let's run it up. Jessica Penne versus Elise Reed. My God. I'm going to go with Elise Reed to find a way to win. But I do not love that pick. I'll tell you straight. She should be able to out-kickbox Jessica Penne, who's literally 41 and not really a good wrestler. Penne brings a submission threat. 1,000% she's better at jiu-jitsu, but she's not great at getting fights to the floor. She's not a high-caliber wrestler. At 41 and not having fought in over a year and a half, who knows where Jessica Penne's even at? You can see she lost to Tabitha Ricci. Ricci's a savage, and she got ran over. Emily Ducote beat her before that. Emily Ducote got cut from the UFC now. This is one of those fights. Flip a damn coin. You're picking 2 girls that, are in weird spots. I think Penne is past her prime. I think Elise Reed is just not all that great. She's not bad, right? When she came to the UFC, there was some hype on her being that damn Cage Fury champ. But in the UFC, she's shown a lot of flaws. Her grappling is mid. Her striking is kind of good, though. Like, to be fair, Elise Reed is quick in the stand-up. She picks her shots pretty well. She moves in and out of range pretty nicely. I mean, she's not a bad fighter. It's just she has an obvious hole in her game. She's really crappy at grappling. Mid as fuck at grappling. Low caliber grappling. She does have a nice blitzing striking attack and a clear-cut speed advantage with Jessica Penne in this fight. On the side of Penne, though, in the striking, she's still tough. I mean, she's throwing volume back, but her legs getting chopped apart by Emily Ducote. And then obviously Tabitha Ricci absolutely runs her over in the grappling. Penny's kind of hittable down the center. She has okay straight shots. There's really not a ton of positives on either side for this matchup. I would rather just sit on the sidelines. If you're looking to bet one of these two as your lock, bro, I don't know, you got your eyes closed or something? Go get them checked. Holy shit. Let's look at the odds, all right? The pick is Elise Reed. I think she'll win a decision. I would not bet it. Betting Jessica Penne, I guess if you want to throw down on an underdog and you're like, yeah, I think she could take Reed to the ground, maybe plus 130, but I don't think it's an educated bet. Both of these women on that wall of shame there I have a wall of fame and a wall of shame. On the wall of shame, you see in the women's category, do not bet. Elise Reed, Jessica Penne. They've sold in plenty of fights before. And, I wouldn't be surprised if they sell again here. But one of them's going to sell. One of them's going to win. I'm going to pick Elise Reed because she's younger. She's more clean in the striking. And Penne doesn't have very good wrestling, even though she has nice jiu-jitsu. I think it's enough to survive for Elise Reed. Over 2.5, minus 265. Probably. We got 2 straight women's fights. One, which is the one before this, that I'm actually interested in. This one, I'm not. But let's see what happens. Elise Reed, close decision, probably 29-28, maybe 30-27. Penne might end up taking her back and pulling off some weird submission because Elise Reed has really bad jiu-jitsu. But she should be able to outstrike Penne, and Penne doesn't have good takedowns. So how's she going to get it to the floor? Maybe. In a perfect world for Penne, that burp was dedicated to the winner of this fight. I don't know who's going to take it, but God bless you. The damn punches from Reed cause a knockdown, Penne on her back, probably best for her because she might throw up a submission from bottom and Elise Reed might get careless on top. Elise Reed, decision. Let's see what happens, man. I think Elise Reed probably takes it 29-28 in a weird fight. Let's keep running, man. I don't want to talk about this fight anymore. It's stressing me out thinking about how weird that matchup is. Next fight, Jocelyn Edwards versus Tamires Vidal. The pick is going to be Jocelyn Edwards. Thankfully, this is the final of the trio of women's fights in a row. I think Jocelyn Edwards is better than Tamires Vidal. I feel as though Vidal is kind of crap. She's a brawler for sure. And, she kind of has power. She's kind of explosive, but she doesn't really have any fight IQ. She kind of just wings bombs looking for a knockout. She's really bad on the ground. She's sus on the ground. I guess really bad is maybe an overstatement, but she's not very good at grappling. To say it very politically correct, she's not very good on the floor. And her striking is okay at best. She's not that accurate. She doesn't have great technique. She is a brawling Brazilian, okay? She's looking to throw big shots, and if you walk into them, you're going to feel them. But if you're able to strike from range, mix in some clinch pressure and takedowns, you're probably dominating her. Jocelyn Edwards, very experienced at this point in the UFC, 2-fight losing streak, which I think this is the perfect opportunity for her to snap the losing streak. I don't see Tamires Vidal going out there and beating Jocelyn Edwards. Edwards is a relatively decent striker. She's got solid enough kickboxing, picks her shots kind of well. I'd say she's well-rounded at this point. To be fair, she gave Eileen Perez a difficult fight, and Eileen Perez has turned out to be pretty good as far as like the girls that are teetering towards top 15. I think we're going to see an advantage in grappling for Jocelyn Edwards on top of a more clean striking game. I think Edwards can take this fight to the ground. Tamires Vidal is going to be out of position, looking to wing bombs, and I think Jocelyn Edwards can capitalize with some counter strikes and mixing in some takedowns and probably cruise into a decision. I'll say Edwards pulls through. Wouldn't blow my mind though if somehow she gets a stoppage, because to me, Vidal is very mid. Vidal has a win over Eileen Perez, but it was a disqualification, and she was getting her ass kicked in that fight on the ground. And Perez just threw some illegal knees at her for the stoppage and then ended up getting DQ'd. But Vidal, her grappling game got absolutely exposed then, and I don't think it's gotten substantially better. And Jocelyn Edwards was competitive in some grappling exchanges with Eileen Perez, so I think Edwards can win this fight wherever it takes place. As far as the odds, Edwards is minus 240. She deserves the chalky tag here. Vidal plus 205. Most likely it's over 2.5 with this women's fight, which is minus 350. Edwards not really shown killer instinct or much finishing ability. Vidal on the other side, she got a knockout of Romana Pascual, but really, Romana Pascual should have never been fighting in the UFC. She was not UFC level. Jocelyn Edwards for the win. She takes it home, and I'll say a unanimous decision. Please let me move on. Next fight on the card, we have Brad Katona versus Gene Matsumoto. Things get more interesting now. We got cool fights. I'm picking Gene Matsumoto. I think he beats Brad Katona. Unfortunately, Brad Katona's UFC career is just not going to work out. It's like very teetering on the edge of getting released. Win one, lose one. In his first run, he lost 2 in a row after winning the Ultimate Fighter. And now they're throwing him Gene Matsumoto. They're doing Brad Katona 0 favors. Gene Matsumoto is a really clean Muay Thai striker. I believe he's a South American Muay Thai champion. And, the striking skill set that he has is very diverse and versatile. He has a lot of different attacks that he presents. And what's interesting is Brad Katona, it always has blown my mind that Brad Katona was actually on the Canadian Amateur National Boxing Team, because I don't think of Brad Katona as a good boxer. He doesn't have much knockout power, if any. Brad Katona historically has been Mr. Decision. He just doesn't have power. He's kind of quick with his combinations. He rips okay flurries, but it's nothing that's like super precise and accurate where it makes you say, oh, wow, he might put him out. It's more flurrying of shots. I guess in a sense, it's amateuristic, right? Flurrying punches in the amateur boxing, probably when he was competing, was more about punches landed. So you're just throwing a lot of punches, even if they're not precise. Whereas Matsumoto is a precise Muay Thai striker. And I definitely favor his Muay Thai over the side of Brad Katona's boxing. And on top of that, Matsumoto has relatively good hands as well. He definitely can throw punches nicely with Brad Katona. I have high confidence that he can box and even outbox Brad Katona, and then mixing in the threat of kicks. I think Matsumoto's on his way to a nice win, but ultimately Matsumoto, I don't want to say it's a hole in his game, but he does have rather questionable takedown defense, and it's not super questionable like he's going to get taken down and wrestle fucked all night, but Dan Argueta got to him with some wrestling, but his jiu-jitsu carried him, ends up getting a submission, and he reversed some positions. Even when he fought Casey Tanner on the damn Contender Series show, he got taken down a couple of times. Granted, Tanner, good wrestler, trained with the Fight Ready gym, Henry Cejudo's team, so, gotta kind of respect the matchup, and Matsumoto beat the shit out of him in striking. I think Brad Katona is going to try to wrestle here. Brad Katona, unfortunately, is one of the most boring styles of Ultimate Fighter winners as of late. I hate shitting on Brad because he's a genuine nice guy, but I have literally watched his entire UFC career dating back to his first Ultimate Fighter win, and his style is just simply not entertaining. It's point scoring, dominance, decision normally. Granted, on the Ultimate Fighter, though, he did submit Bryce Mitchell, which that aged like fine wine, but he's yet to find the finish in this new UFC run. And, he took a hard L to Garrett Armfield where he got touched up a bit, and that's what gives me more confidence in Matsumoto striking here. And beating Jesse Butler, I'm sorry, Butler is nowhere near UFC level. He's just not. And Brad Katona dominated him on the ground. I don't think Brad Katona can embrace the grind and just wrestle with Matsumoto. He'll be forced into striking exchanges, and when they do strike, he'll be uncomfortable. I'm going with Gene Matsumoto for decision. I do think he's going to win it on the judges' scorecards, probably 30-27. It'd be nice to see him get a KO, but Katona's historically durable, so I am going to respect the chin of Katona. He might not finish fights, but he ain't getting finished much either. Minus 260 for Gene Matsumoto, plus 220 for Katona. To be fair, the odds are a little wide for somebody who's very new to the UFC, and Katona having a lot of experience and even getting released and then fighting through the Ultimate Fighter a second time and earning his way back. So, relative jump in competition. I just think Matsumoto does have better striking than Katona, and I don't think Katona has a substantial grappling advantage. But at minus 260 on a damn 25-year-old, I'd pass. I think the odds are way too wide. The line should probably be minus 150 to plus 130, what you see with Elise Reed and Penne. But this is simply an overinflated line because of hype on Matsumoto, him being undefeated, him being Brazilian, him having a cool Japanese last name. There's a lot of factors. Minus 325 for an over 2.5. It's probably live to go over. I do think Matsumoto wins the fight. If he locked up a sub on Katona, it'd be crazy, but I just have a strong feeling that it's a competitive 3 rounds. And I think Matsumoto's too chalky to be super confident in. For the bettors out there that are looking to back him heavy or put him in all your parlays, I don't know, have something without it, because Brad Katona is a crafty vet. Even though I don't love the style, he's for the most part effective. I mean, the dude is 14-3 as a pro. It's a pretty good record. And he's fought high-quality competition throughout the whole run. His composition is, he's made of fucking wood, bro. He's made of wood. He's not made of steel. Brad Katona's made of wood. And I think Gene Matsumoto going to give him one of those old-school karate chops and snap that wood in half. So we're going with Matsumoto for the win, and I think the hype is somewhat real on him. I don't know about him being a world champ or anything like that, but he looks pretty good. Next fight, featured prelim of the night. We got Matthias Nicolau versus Asu Almabayev. I'm going with Asu Almabayev to win. He should pull it off. It's like, he is flawed, though. Like, I got to say it straight. He didn't look great in his past 2 the whole time. Now, he, for the most part, was dominating, but he did get mounted a couple times by Jose Johnson in their fight. He also got put in compromised spot against CJ Vergara. The thing is, Almabayev is such a wrestler that at times he does a gamrot and he over-wrestles a bit and sometimes puts himself out of position and gives up the dominance and ends up getting put in a bad spot. But he's relentless from the bottom and finds ways back up. There is a worry, though. Matthias Nicolau is pretty damn good. I know right now we've all kind of forgot about him because he's on a 2-fight losing streak, but to be fair, his losses are knockouts, and Almabayev is really not a great striker, but Nicolau's chin, incredibly suspect at this point. You can see Alex Perez chinned him last time in vicious fashion. It was a sick KO. And then fight before that, the knee by Royval absolutely starches him in round number 1. So Matthias Nicolau's chin has been an ultimate weakness as of late. But before that, he was on a nice win streak in the UFC. He's beaten decent names. He knocked out Matt Schnell. Granted, it's Matt Schnell, but he beat Dvorak. Tim Elliott win, which is rather impressive. Elliott's a good wrestler. Even a win over Manel Kopp on a competitive decision. Nicolau does a good job of picking his shots. He does a lot of lateral movement to counter strike, and he's pretty clean with his hands. He still touched Perez a little bit in their fight. Ultimately, though, glass chin. The question is, Asu Almabayev's wrestling, will it work here against Matthias Nicolau, who is, I believe, a black belt in jiu-jitsu? I know he's putting his soul into this grappling training. Even on Instagram, he was talking about, I'm taking on a grappler. I'm putting a lot of work in my wrestling for this camp. Okay, I mean, I believe it for sure. It's just Almabayev is so relentless with it. How is it going to work out? Nicolau worries me because even though I don't rate Almabayev striking very high, and I think that the prospect to keep an eye on at flyweight is not Asu Almabayev, I think it's Tamires, who fought last night. If you're watching this on Sunday, he still's pretty good. He's got strong wrestling. He's experienced. He's got 2 pro losses. One of them was against Tagir Ulanbekov. The thing is, I believe Asu Almabayev can mix in pressure against the cage and not just look for wrestling sequences, which could potentially put him in compromised spots with Nicolau. But I also then ask myself, what are the odds of Nicolau subbing him? I'd say rather low. I think Almabayev probably takes it on the scorecards, but I think it might be one of those fights that's a little too close for comfort, because Almabayev's a fair-sized favorite and a lot of hype is on him because of his beastly wrestling pressure. But I still think he's a little flawed. He's not impressive in the striking department. He's got pretty mid-boxing. I would rate his boxing a 6.5 out of 10. Whereas Nicolau, I'd probably say he has like a 7.8 out of 10 stand-up, or at least hands alone. With the kicks in it, maybe an 8. Nicolau's cleaner in striking. Almabayev's the better wrestler. The ultimate question mark comes down to the wrestling, or excuse me, the jiu-jitsu with the wrestling, right? Because most likely Almabayev dictates where this fight takes place with his offensive wrestling. But to be fair, Matthias Nicolau has a takedown defense rate of 93%, bro. So having a 93% takedown defense rate, only taken down once, I believe, in his UFC career, is against Tim Elliott. That's kind of a major thing to have for a matchup like this. And it's not like Nicolau's an awful striker. I'm like selling myself on Nicolau as we talk. I'm still picking Almabayev, but I guess what I'm saying is it's easy to assume that Almabayev would be a lock for me. It's not, because I question Nicolau and him, how they match up with one another because of the historically strong takedown defense of Nicolau and Almabayev lacking the strength, which is the most obvious weakness for Nicolau, which Nicolau's chin, and Almabayev lacks punching power. So the way we clash these two, I think it's a competitive fight. I think it goes 3 hard. I'm going to say over 2.5. I'm going to say Almabayev on a close decision. I think he gets it 29-28, but don't be surprised if Nicolau touches him with big shots. It's minus 185 for Almabayev. Nicolau at plus 160. Listen, Nicolau's not a dead man in this fight. That's all I'll say. He's not a dead man in this fight. Asu Almabayev is a little bit flawed, and I think he's shown moments of vulnerability. But I do believe that he can still outwork a Matthias Nicolau, who's coming off 2 straight losses, and who knows exactly where his head is at here. Over 2.5, minus 285. I'd be interested to see like minus 3.5 Nicolau. What's that sitting at? I don't know what it'll be. We'll see when it ends up coming out, because I think Almabayev is live to take the decision home. He'll probably put good pressure on Nicolau, take him down, wrestle him a little bit, but Nicolau will burst up to his feet quicker than expected. There'll be exchanges where both guys are competitive. Nicolau will probably land some clean punches on the feet, maybe even wobble Almabayev a little bit, but Almabayev will probably earn back respect by garnering control time against the cage, ripping hard shots there, and I think he wins a close one. So we'll go with Asu Almabayev to take it home, but damn, it's a competitive fight. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card, we have Darren Elkins versus Daniel Pineda. I am going to ride with the side of Darren Elkins to outdog Daniel Pineda in very competitive fashion. Holy shit, this is a weird fight. It's so damn close because Pineda can brawl too. Both of them are 2 savage brawlers facing off with one another. I really wonder how the style looks when they actually throw down. I feel as though Elkins is going to have a purist wrestling advantage, but Pineda has better jiu-jitsu. The thing is, Elkins has been submitted like once as a pro, and it was a long time ago. and he does have, I think it was to Charles Oliveira, and he does have pretty good durability. I know he's been knocked out a few times, but the guys that are knocking him out are cleaner boxers than Daniel Pineda. So I think it turns into kind of a chaotic brawl. Pineda throwing some wild shots. Elkins trying to work some straights and takedowns. Pineda shooting for a ghillie, but then probably failing. And then Elkins passing and getting to a more dominant position. It's just, Pineda can't win decisions. The dude has never won a decision as a pro. He is pure finisher. And I believe Elkins can take the third round, and then it depends on what happens in 1 and 2. I do think Pineda potentially slows a bit heading into round number 2. And then in round number 3, I think Darren Elkins could end up taking home the 29-28, securing the win in a competitive back and forth. And the curse of Pineda not being able to win these decisions continues, because I do think he's going to struggle in the third round for sure. Simply because we're going to have a very high-paced Darren Elkins in the face of Pineda for most of the fight. And I don't know how the Savage Brawler is going to fare with somebody as tough as Elkins, because he's one of a kind. And I'm going to pick Darren Elkins to really rely on grit and his ability to survive. In the first round, he might get the shit kicked out of him, but then he'll turn up in the second and third. And to be fair, Pineda looking for a finish in this fight, which are his instincts, could end up being a worst case scenario, because that could cause him to gas and allow Elkins to potentially secure a later finish, or at the very least, like I'm saying, this decision win. So I'm going with the side of Darren Elkins to take it home over Daniel Pineda. Pineda's a minus 130 favorite. I'm surprised. Minus 175 was actually the opening line, so it's come down a bit. Darren Elkins sitting at plus 110. I like the chances of Darren Elkins outdogging Daniel Pineda. It's going to be a damn competitive fight. It's going to be a freaking coin flip, okay? It's going to be a back and forth war. But I think it's a war that Darren Elkins can win. I think he thrives. And I'm surprised the over is at plus money. I don't think we're getting a knockout. I'm feeling a hard-fought 3 rounds. We've seen both of them go distance a little bit as of late, right? 2 out of the last 3 for Elkins, and also same here, 2 out of the last 3 for Pineda. I expect a 3-round war, and I think Darren Elkins is the one that comes out on top. Darren Elkins for the W over Daniel Pineda. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card, we have Brady Hiestand versus Jake Hadley. I'm going with Brady Hiestand. I really feel like he's improved a lot over the past few years since he made his debut and fought on that, finale versus Tercios and lost a close decision. He's also grown up a lot. He's gotten a lot more jacked since then. He's visibly put on some muscle mass. He has a pretty relentless wrestling onslaught and has very good athleticism. Now, there are some questions around his striking because, he's been dropped in his past 2 fights. He gets caught with clean shots. He goes down, but he always finds a way to get back up, recover. I would say he has good durability. Even though he's going down, he's finding his way up and he's fighting back and he's winning these fights. It's not like he's taking knockout losses. He's getting rocked and he's finding ways to win. And he's finishing the guys. It's like him getting rocked is kind of his secret move. He gets rocked. You think you get him out of there. You get a little overzealous, maybe a little overconfident, and then he makes you pay. Last time out, he submitted Garrett Armfield, which I honestly think is a pretty high caliber win. Garrett Armfield's pretty quality. He's well-rounded. He's got dangerous wrestling, dangerous striking. And the fact Hiestand was able to overcome the Armfield attack and then get a W over him was pretty damn impressive. Now, on the side of Hadley, he's kind of riding high off of a nice W at bantamweight recently. It was 2.5 months ago. I believe it was UFC 304. He took on Calvin Loughran, and he took the fight on short notice and made it look easy. Now, Hadley has moved up from 125, where he was, close to the top 15, to be fair. I just think this is a matchup he always struggles in. There's comparisons to the Hiestand style and to the Cody Durden style. Difference is, I think Hiestand's physically stronger. Now, Hadley does have pretty good boxing, though. He's a southpaw. He's pretty slick and precise with his hands. He's got good punch combinations. He's not bad with his grappling either. He's got a nice guillotine. He's got fairly decent reversals and transitions from bottom. He's not a guy that just lets you beat him up. But Brady Hiestand is like a full-sized and strong bantamweight who I think is just simply going to have a clear-cut grappling advantage over him. I could see Hadley doing damage, similar to what we see with Hiestand all the time. He gets rocked. Hadley goes for it. Hadley fatigues a bit. Hiestand counters with some type of grappling exchange and then finds his way into a dominant position and maybe a comeback submission win. So I'm going to pick Brady Hiestand to get it done. I rate his grappling as a substantial advantage. As far as Hadley, he does have the striking speed edge and I would say just simply the cleaner boxing between the two, but he's at a disadvantage in wrestling, and I think Hiestand is a bit better at grappling, though Hadley is fairly slick on the mat. Now, as far as the betting odds for the fight, Brady Hiestand is -150. Jake Hadley is +130. I'm riding with the side of Brady Hiestand as the favorite, and I do agree with the tag. Over 2.5 -205. I feel like it's kind of sweaty simply because Hiestand does bring legit submission skills to the table. And, he could be the first guy to submit Hadley, especially a Hadley who's looking for a finish. But I get why it's -205. Hiestand decision or submission are like the live methods of victory. And I'm very curious to see what the props are looking like as they drop. But currently, feeling Hiestand to win. I could see him getting that decision or a sub, like I said. And I'm curious what the lines will be. I think we're going to see him be able to out-grapple Jake Hadley and out-dog him in a gritty fight. So I'm going to go Brady Hiestand for the W, but not easy against Jake Hadley, who's a clean boxer. It's just Brady Hiestand's got that dog in him, and I think he outworks him for a nice win. Next fight on the card, we have our featured fight of the night, Sumudaerji versus Charles Johnson. I got to go with Charles Johnson here. Sumudaerji has not looked good in a while. He lost 10 months ago to Tim Elliott. He got dominated on the ground, and he actually got caught by Elliott on the feet too with a nice punch. Fight before that, Matt Schnell. He's actually really successful in that fight with striking, but he was also getting touched a lot too. The thing about Sumudaerji, though he has impressive striking offense, he has really mid defense. He's very hittable down the center line due to his lack of head movement. He likes to strike from long range, and normally that's a big advantage he has over flyweights, but not this fight. Charles Johnson is an inch taller than Sumudaerji. Now, he's given up 2 inches in reach, but I don't think that's a substantial factor. Charles Johnson is a good striker from long range. He's got kickboxing experience on top of obviously a lot of MMA wins. He's become a pretty notable and crafty vet that's like right there at top 15 level, and I think a win here over Sumudaerji propels him back into a big fight. I mean, I'd assume he'd get a chance at the rankings with a win over Mudaerji. Charles Johnson has quality kickboxing, but he's also no bum in the grappling. I know when you think of Johnson, you consider his striking, but he does have 4 wins by submissions, never been finished as a pro. Sumudaerji has been finished in all of his losses. You can see all 6 L's coming via submission. He has very suspect grappling, and even though Charles Johnson in the UFC, not known for the offensive submission threat, I actually think it'll be a decent D-Gen prop. I don't know what the line's going to look like. They'll drop it in the next couple days. We'll talk about it. I like Charles Johnson to win. I think Charles Johnson can outwork Sumudaerji. In the striking, I'd say it's fairly competitive, but Johnson is better with his defensive abilities, and I think that Johnson could also hurt Sumudaerji. But an X factor in this fight is going to be Charles Johnson has underrated grappling skills and is also going to be physically stronger than Sumudaerji. What's interesting, too, is Sumudaerji's 28. He feel like he's been in the UFC so damn long. He just hasn't been fighting that consistently. So he's still a young and developing guy. But I just think Charles Johnson is more in his flow right now. 3-fight win streak. The knockout at Joshua Van was epic. Beat Jake Hadley, who, is fighting earlier on this card at bantamweight. Who's, like I said, I think he's relatively good. And pulled off a massive upset, being the first guy to beat Azat Maxim, who was supposed to be a savage prospect on the, come up, who's tall and long, similar to Sumudaerji, and was unbeaten as a pro who didn't have an obvious weakness. I'm going Charles Johnson. And I'm going to say the D-Gen call is him locking up a damn submission. He's minus 210 as the favorite. I definitely think he deserves the favorite status. Sumudaerji, too hittable. And I do think he could get hurt by Charles Johnson. A knockout's not an absolute impossibility. I just think I lean submission because that's how Mudaerji is normally selling in his L's. Plus 180 for Mudaerji there. And then looking at the side of the over-under. Under 2.5 is plus 160. Like I said, I think Johnson wins the fight. I think it's a submission. I think the under is live, but would it be insane if Charles Johnson takes it on the cards? Absolutely not, because commonly that is how he's winning fights. Simply put, though, Charles Johnson is a more well-rounded fighter, and I think Sumudaerji has this obvious hole sitting in his game, which is submissions. But on top of that, like I said, I do think he lacks quality defense, whereas Charles Johnson has good defensive skills. He's pretty slick. He has nice feints that he throws out as well. I just don't think Sumudaerji is as clean as Johnson. I will give Mudaerji some credit. He's got a nice check left hook, but too hittable. The chin is too questionable. The grappling skills are incredibly suspect. And Charles Johnson is on a damn roll right now. I think it'd be a disgrace not to rock with Charles Johnson. I just can't see Sumudaerji being like, an underdog to attack. I just don't think he's the one. Too many question marks around him. Yeah, he's young at 28, but he's still been taking L's. And I think Charles Johnson is absolutely primed right now. So I'm going with Charles Johnson for the win. And I think he is live for submission surprise in this one. Next fight, our co-main event of the evening. We have Rob Font versus Kyler Phillips. I'm going to pick Kyler Phillips to win. I think MMA Lab's got a great team. And I think Kyler Phillips is a pretty quality prospect right now. I mean, there was always signs of him working his way towards the, elite of this bantamweight division, but they did get stifled by Raulian Paiva. He didn't lose. It was a draw. He dropped Paiva 3 times in the first round. How do you not score that at 10-8? And then, yes, he gassed out, lost the second and third. But 1,000% should not have a loss to Raulian Paiva. So, in my mind, he's 4-0 and 1 draw in his last 5. And he has a win over Song Yadong in the mix. Last time, he beat Pedro Munoz, and he hurt Munoz a bit in that fight. Cut Munoz, hit him with a nice knee and combination. That's the thing about Kyler Phillips is he has such a diverse striking attack. It's really a pleasure to watch. He's creative with the way he throws his combinations, and he mixes up punches, kicks, elbows, and knees really nicely, and it's hard to read. He's very fast too. And on top of that, he has extremely good lateral movement and high caliber footwork. And he's also a high output fighter with a proven gas tank. I think he's shown that after, fighting Pedro Munoz and still swinging hard until the very end. It's like, okay, Kyler Phillips is legit. On top of that, he's at MMA Lab, which is a super stacked team for bantamweight. They have fighters like Clayton Carpenter, Mario Batista, fighters like Kyler Phillips, and obviously Sean O'Malley. And I'm sure I'm forgetting some. Marcus McGee, another one. So really good talent in that weight class that he's consistently getting rounds in with. And I'm sure that it pays off. And I think it's going to be evident that Kyler Phillips is on the way up right now. Rob Font in the opposite career direction. Rob Font is on the downslope. He's 1-4 out of his last 5. Rob Font has always had a really good high and tight boxing style. He's known for a good jab, but I do think there is evidence of him slowing down, and I don't think he has the pace or the versatility to deal with Kyler Phillips. Something about Rob Font, which I see as a vulnerability in this fight, is the lead leg is going to get chopped apart. The kicking skill set of Kyler Phillips. Simply put, Rob Font uses punches only for the most part, whereas Kyler Phillips is just simply more versatile with his whole stand-up attack. He's got more tools in the tool shed. And in a striking match, we have the younger Kyler Phillips, who's evidently faster and more primed, taking on a Rob Font, who even at his best is bringing in a strength in just simply one area of boxing, where I don't really feel as though that's as much of a strength right now in this matchup as it was a few years back. I think that Rob Font is going to lose this fight to a high output and highly precise Kyler Phillips. I think Phillips' striking is going to be on display. I think it's going to be an attack of all of the striking arts. You're going to see a pretty quality stand-up performance. I'm sure Font has a couple moments in the fight, but if he finds success in the striking, do not be surprised if Kyler Phillips is able to time some takedowns. Rob Font has had very vulnerable wrestling for a while now, and I think that it's a, evident hole at 37 that's probably not going to get shored up. You can see last time out with Davis and Figueiredo, he's getting taken down a bit, and he was hurt on the feet, was taken down a bit by Corey Sandhagen. A win over Adrian Yanez. He did beat the shit out of Adrian Yanez in really impressive fashion. But Yanez, similarly to Rob Font, more so just uses hands, whereas Kyler Phillips uses all 8 limbs. He brings more of, it's not a typical Muay Thai style, but a matrix Muay Thai style of striking to the table. Shout out to the cool nickname. Kyler Phillips is, I think, that guy. And I think he's going to shine, and I think he's going to thrive this Saturday. Biggest win of his life incoming. Kyler Phillips is now a 4-1 favorite. Oh my gosh, it was minus 225. The odds have gotten so wide. Holy shit. Even earlier on, like yesterday, it was minus 280. Like, wow. The odds are shifting fast. 4-1 favorite for Kyler Phillips over Rob Font is kind of wild to me. But I do think Kyler Phillips wins, and I feel pretty confident that he's the right pick in this fight here. Font is plus 300 as a relatively large underdog, but at 37, I don't think he's the one. Over 2.5 is live at minus 225. Say what you want about Rob Font. The dude is absolutely durable with a quality chin. I just think he's going to be losing the striking battle to Kyler Phillips, who's simply cleaner on the feet. I think more technical and definitely more well-versed, and he's got a speed advantage. So I think Rob Font's taking an L here. Phillips, if he can keep up the high output for the whole 3, he should be able to dominate Rob Font and take home the biggest win of his life. I know he's got a win over Yadong some years ago, but beating Rob Font is a massive W. Bigger than the Munoz win, too. So Kyler Phillips for the win. I think he's getting it done. And damn, the momentum on this dude is building fast. With the win over Font, he's going to be really making his run towards the elite. He might have to fight his boy Mario Batista, to be honest. Let's keep running. Let's jump to the main event of the evening. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We have Michel Pereira versus Anthony Hernandez. I'm going to pick Michel Pereira to beat Fluffy Hernandez. I feel as though Pereira has the weakness of Hernandez shored up. Pereira's incredible with body work, okay? His attack to the body is what I'm elaborating on. Hernandez, in his most recent loss, which was, I believe, 6 fights ago, because he's on a 5-fight win streak, it was a knee to the body from Kevin Holland that finished him off. I truly believe the body is the chink in the armor of Fluffy Hernandez. Michel Pereira is extremely explosive and powerful. He seems to be a completely different fighter at 185 pounds as opposed to when he was at 170. Like, there's levels to him, and he's just different now. Pereira's explosive. Pereira's powerful. Pereira's dynamic, and he brings nasty kicks, whether it's a teep kick or just a typical roundhouse body kick. Big knees on the inside, elbows and heavy punches. Actually brings a black belt in jiu-jitsu to the table, which is something that's overlooked. And I think a lot of people that are riding with Hernandez are probably like, okay, he's dog tough. He's got good pressure grappling. He's got nice takedowns. Yes, he has really good jiu-jitsu. But Michel Pereira is no slouch in the grappling, and he has a really good takedown defense rate. I mean, it's not like Michel Pereira is commonly getting wrestle-fucked in UFC fights, even dating back to his days in the welterweight division. So now at 185, where I truly believe he's just simply better than ever before, I think he's going to be clean with the stand-up and find the kill. And I'm going to say Michel Pereira knocks out Fluffy Hernandez. When you look at the striking of the two, we have a brawling striking style from Hernandez, who does have some heavy hands, and sure, he has success with the striking at times, but majority of that success is coming with such a substantial threat of the grappling. But the fact that I believe Michel Pereira has the wrestling capabilities and the grappling defensive abilities to fend off Hernandez's attack, expect Pereira to be pretty clean with the striking game, and I think he can work some heavy shots over and put the side of Fluffy Hernandez out in this fight. Also note, Michel Pereira training at Extreme Couture, which historically is a pretty solid gym, and they got good wrestlers over there, and I think that he's going to be fine-tuned as possible. And I'm picking Michel Pereira to beat a fluffy Hernandez and take home a nice knockout win. He's coming off 3 huge W's, not big names, but impressive. Petrosky in the 185 UFC debut, Oleksiejczuk, and Pereira, all of them like 1 minute or less, dude. Lightning speed fights. Hernandez is coming off a nice win over Roman Kopylov. He was touched a bit in the striking, though, in that fight for sure. But Kopylov doesn't have the same explosiveness as Michel Pereira, nor does he have the same ability to defend takedowns. Fight before that, he beats Edmund Shabazian, but it took him 3 rounds, and he was in uncomfortable spots in the striking. Before that, he beat some Marc-Andre Barrios to, it was a scrappy journey, man. Before that, he went to decision and dominated Josh Fremd in the grappling, but he didn't submit him. I think Michel Pereira can fend off Hernandez's wrestling and grappling onslaught and absolutely expose him in the stand-up. So I'm going with Michel Pereira, and I'm going to say a violent knockout incoming. He's plus 125, another underdog in the damn main event. Last week we had Royval. 2 weeks before that, it was Money Moicano. And I think that Michel Pereira is another underdog main event winner at this damn UFC Apex. Plus 125 for Pereira. Hernandez minus 145. At open, Pereira was all the way up at plus 170. So the line has come down. Some bets have come in. There's some love from Michel Pereira. And I think stylistically it's a tough matchup for Fluffy. Under 2.5, minus 140. I strongly favor the under 2.5. Definitely under 3.5. I see it as a violent fight. Even if you're on the side of Hernandez, I will presume you're anticipating him to find the back and probably find a choke and see him strangle Michel. But I think that's a lot easier said than done. I think Pereira's too clean, too precise, too prime. Both these guys are 31. People forget Pereira came to the UFC in his mid-20s. He just looked 35 since his debut, and I feel like he hasn't really aged in the way that he looks since then. But now he's a man. He's got that man strength, that man skill, and I think he's on a title run in 2025. It's 2024, and this is the biggest fight for him, I think, of his UFC career. Maybe not, the name value, he's fought some big names. No. This is the biggest fight because he wins this fight. Now is amongst elite as far as this damn middleweight division goes. Leaving the welterweight division, genius. Very grateful that he did so. We're going with Michel Pereira to win. Knockout in the main event. And I think body work is going to get it done for him. He's going to get that fluff. Fluffy Hernandez. The nickname Fluffy, I'm telling him it's a curse, bro. He's susceptible to body shots. He's got a fragile stomach. And he might not have a glass chin. He might have a chin of iron. But the body ain't made out of steel. I think that the body is where the stoppage comes. So expect Pereira to work that body and find the finish with body shots. Those are the predictions for UFC Vegas 99. I hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown. I think the picks are pretty money, and I'm really looking forward to this card. Make sure you all smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe it up. Daily content coming. Thank you guys for consistently riding with me. We had a tremendous stream yesterday, which was Saturday, and we got another money stream incoming this Saturday too. So keep it locked in on the MMA Experts channel. Turn those post notifications on so you don't miss a video or live stream because daily content's coming, and I'm looking forward to another beautiful week's worth of violence. I'm excited as hell. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you all in the next one. W's in the comments if you got nothing to say. Peace out.